Okay, so
Okay,
hello,
nice.
everyone.
Uh,
Welcome to our second online workshop of WiGL. I am Jay. I'm one of the co-organizers and one of the co-presidents of LSO. Um, Hyun Bae today will tell us about using ChatGPT as a research assistant for linguistics. Hyun, we're so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for presenting, and I will turn it over to him.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you for the introduction, Jay, um, and JC for coordinating everything. The title of this workshop is How to Use ChatGPT as a Research Assistant in Experimental Linguistics. So these are today's contents. We'll cover these things. Why learn ChatGPT in experimental linguistics research? What is ChatGPT? How to use it in different stages of linguistics research, and various platforms. So why learn ChatGPT? As you know, experimental linguistics has used various approaches to investigate linguistic theories. These experimental approaches are often determined by technological advancement available to researchers. Some examples include online experiment builders like ePrime, OpenSesame, and offline test building platforms like Qualtrics that we use often. Similarly, software programs such as PsychoPy played a big role in creating complicated experiments. Eye tracking machines as well. Not only that, statistical packages like R and SPSS and access to these packages help us automate statistical analysis. So in this regard, becoming and remaining tech-savvy is necessary for experimental linguists nowadays, so we don't fall behind in the field. When new technologies appear with potential benefits for research, we need to equip ourselves with enough knowledge to discern their applicability and integrability into our research. Several industries or fields of study, including education, healthcare, and computer science have already started integrating the capabilities of ChatGPT. And these fields include teaching, researching, diagnostics, and software development. So the capabilities of GPT proved to be incredibly beneficial and constructive for the advancement of these fields. However, I figured that there are gaps in the understanding of ChatGPT's potential value in experimental linguistics research. And that's why I'm having this workshop. So what is ChatGPT? ChatGPT uses unsupervised pre-training, supervised, and supervised fine-tuning. And it uses a vast amount of text data to produce natural-sounding responses. It mimics human conversation, and it's designed to generate high-quality replies and specialized knowledge. About features and applications, it supports a variety of tasks, including text summarization, language translation, content creation, concept explanation, language enhancement, and much more. And it can be helpful in brainstorming ideas for various projects, including research. And it can recommend books, movies, create lesson plans, provide detailed analysis on a range of topics. And there's continuous updates and advancement in ChatGPT. OpenAI, the developer of ChatGPT, continuously updates GPT. In 2023, OpenAI launched ChatGPT 4. It's a significantly advanced model than its previous one. It's capable of processing both image and text inputs, and now GPT has been updated to GPT-4 Turbo. It allows its users to create their own customized ChatGPT tailored to their specific needs. So now there are various versions of customized GPT available. In this workshop, I'll explain the efficiency of all these models, but I can't cover all custom GPT because there are over 3 million GPTs nowadays. So difference between the models in accessibility. ChatGPT 3 is accessible to everyone, and it does not have ability to access to internet. So its information is sometimes outdated. GPT-4, which is Turbo now, and Custom GPT, these two are limited to subscribers. It costs $20 per month. These models can access the internet. So the information are recent information. For Custom GPT, it depends on how they're designed. So GPT-4 and Custom GPTs are not the same, but they both have access to internet. Explaining Custom GPT a little bit more, they're like tailored versions of GPT-4, and they're designed to concentrate on specific features for unique user needs. So while GPT-4 offers a wide range of functions, Custom GPTs focus narrowly to improve performance for specific tasks. For example, instead of ChatGPT-4 that handles more than 1,000 different tasks, and with ChatGPT-4, users must specify their needs in each prompt because it has so many functions. But Custom GPT is focused on particular tasks. So, for example, translation, language learning. So they don't have to customize their or specify their prompt every time. As I said, there are over 3 million custom GPTs at the moment. Many of them are integrated into various platforms through APIs, and this enhances their efficiency for certain tasks. For example, some custom GPT is connected to YouTube, so you can use contents in YouTube with ChatGPT. So that's what happens nowadays. And how to use ChatGPT. ChatGPT is not designed for a specific phase of experimental research like E prime or R, so it's necessary to understand what steps in experimental linguistic research can be facilitated by ChatGPT. For that, we need to understand steps involved in experimental linguistics research. So although each study has its unique design elements, there are certain fundamental steps integral to most linguistic experiments. So I focus on these steps. I categorize the steps into 4 key phases. So phase 1, phase 2, 3, 4. There are a lot of steps, and each step can be facilitated by GPT's capabilities. The real challenge is finding the most practical and efficient ways to do that. So I reduced this stage to only those that can be facilitated by GPT. And since we have limited time, I chose 5 steps. So I'm going to focus on these steps. In literature review and background research, we focus on developing research questions, finding linguistic phenomena and features to address the research question based on prior studies. Second, formulating specific hypotheses to be tested. Third one, developing a set of prompts that will elicit the desired linguistic behavior. Last one, recruiting participants and collecting data and analyzing data. And I marked the middle part with red because I thought this part would be incredibly useful for many linguists. So these are some introductions of or descriptions of what these GPTs do. Each of them has unique features and they can be used for research effectively. So we are going to use GPT 3.5 because everyone can access it. GPT-4, GPT Consensus, GPT Links, GPT Canva, DALL-E, which is for creating image, diagram, show me, AI voice generator. So methodology I used is I tested them at least 10 times with the same or slightly different prompts because all models could produce unusual or incorrect output, and they're very sensitive to the specifics of prompts. Yeah, it's a typo, not both. All models could produce unusual. Yeah. So first one, how to use ChatGPT for literature review and background research. As it is researcher's job to develop a research question, we cannot ask GPT to offer us research question. That's not a good idea. Even if we do that, it might not be able to provide us with great research question. So it's our job. Still, we can use ChatGPT as a research tool. All we have to do is to inform it of our research interest and essential background knowledge. Also, we can ask it to recommend references that could be useful for us in crafting our research question. So this is the prompt you can use. All we have to do is change the yellow part. As a demonstration, I decided to investigate ambiguous relative clause attachment, which is what I did for my dissertation, in second language acquisition this time. So this is example linguistic feature. Someone shot the servant of the actress who was on the balcony. The relative clause who was on the balcony cannot can modify either the servant or the actress. That's why this sentence is ambiguous. And this linguistic feature has been frequently used in L2 acquisition to study sentence processing. So this is the prompt that I used. I'm interested in conducting experimental research in the field of linguistics, especially focusing on ambiguous relative clause attachment. For instance, consider the sentence, someone shot the servant of the actress who was on the balcony. So including example sentence is crucial in making GPT understand what you want. To aid me in formulating research question and identifying pertinent linguistic phenomena and theories related to this topic, I request a list of genuine references that primarily focus on factors influencing L2 parsing preference of ambiguous relative clause resolution. I might use the references you recommend as source of information for my research. I've already found some sources, which include Duchess 2003, Duchess and Sagara 2007. So please exclude this from the list of recommendation. I would like the title to include the term relative clause or processing. So I'm going to show you what the result might look like. I'm going to share a different screen. Just 1 second. Did the screen change, or do you still?
Yeah, we are seeing ChatGPT 4 now.
Oh, I see. Okay, so this is ChatGPT 4. I subscribe, so I have access to 4. But even though 4 is efficient, I decided to use GPT consensus, which is here. So I summarized. So if you go to trending, you can find consensus. It's been used 4 million times already. So here, I'm going to copy the prompt that I used. But when I copy this, sorry, it's a little bit complicated. So consensus, it started looking for references. It's talking to consensus, which is actually a separate platform for research search. So it's providing me with relevant studies. And what's good about it is it provides me with links as well. And if they have full text, they lead me to the place where I can get full text. So take a look at how relevant the sources are to my target topic. The first one, working memory effects in L2, processing of ambiguous relative clause. Second, so all of them are pretty close to what I'm looking for. And if you want to find sources published in particular period of time, like 2015 to 2023, you can do that too. So provide me with sources published from 2015 to 2023. Then it filters the sources in that way. So going back to our original slide. Okay, and if I click it, it leads me to the website. And if it has full text, I can get full text right away. So something like this. Sometimes it doesn't have full text. Okay, we have PDF here. Going back to our slide. So these are how efficient each GPT is at conducting this task. So GPT 3.5, only 20% of its recommendations are directly associated with the topic, so it's not useful. GPT-4, only 70% of recommended sources are directly relevant to the topics of interest. All the recommended sources were real. And GPT consensus, 100% of its recommendations are genuine, 70 to 90% of the papers are closely related. And it offers direct links to these sources. So it can be an excellent substitute for a search engine like Google Scholar. So I'm not saying this is the best way. It's just an additional option when we look for sources. And about formulating hypothesis, since this task should be performed by a human researcher, we don't want to use ChatGPT for this step. Alternatively, we can use it to check whether our hypothesis has been explored by other studies. So basically, it's a task often facilitated by search engines. But by asking that, after reviewing studies ChatGPT suggests, if there are any previous studies that have already addressed the same hypothesis, we can further develop the hypothesis into one that is more precise and better aligned with the available evidence. So this is the prompt that we can use. So I'm going to attach this prompt. This is the prompt that I actually used. So I am investigating L2 ambiguous relative clause resolution. My hypothesis is language exposure influences resolution of ambiguous relative clause in L2. Are you aware of any empirical studies that have employed similar hypotheses? And when I tested these models, GPT 3.5, 2 out of 3 suggestions were impractical. So not that useful. GPT-4, 50%, better than 3.5. Consensus, about 70%. So it's the most efficient one. So I'm going to demonstrate you with this. Okay, so when I copied this prompt, this is the result I got. So I'm going to renew the chat. Okay, my computer is getting slower, but sorry. Okay, I'm just going to use this. It's processing. So it's providing me with some studies that address similar hypotheses. We can use it as sources as well, like, or use it to learn about the topic. Many of them are relevant. So GPT consensus can be used effectively to reformulate our hypothesis or get more information in this sense. And third part is research design. In linguistics experiment, as we know, it's crucial to come up with test items that elicit certain linguistic behavior. And in my opinion, this step might be where ChatGPT is particularly useful for researchers in experimental linguists. It has access to diverse contextualized text-based data sets, and it has the ability to generate sentences based on prompts. That means they can be used to formulate test items that's tailored to specific linguistic parameters and behaviors. I used GPT 3.5, 4, and GPT links. This is GPT I made personally. But before we test it, I want to make sure that I'm not suggesting it's better than human. We should adopt all the recommendations. We do it to save our time, not to rely on it. So once GPT creates items for us, we need to choose after examination. So this is the prompt that we can use. So for example, when I check its efficiency, all of them are capable of providing us with test items. But GPT 3.5 often encountered difficulties in imitating the sample items concerning details, animacy, the length of sentence, other linguistic characteristics. GPT-4 was more accurate, not needing to fix them again and again. GPT links, it stands out for its efficiency and precision, uniquely designed for experimental linguistics research. So, and for this, I'm going to use not only ambiguous relative clause, but other linguistic features. So some triplet category tests. So we provide triplets of words to participants, and they have to choose 2 words that are in the same semantic category. Second one, word association test, similar one, but they have to find words that are associatable to each other. Ambiguous relative clause resolution, and garden path sentence. the sentences that require reinterpretation. So when I do that, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So for this, I'm going to use links. Okay, so first I provide this with information. Um, so when I do this, so it asks more questions. So I'm going to skip them. It provides test items that we can use effectively and in an organized way. And for word association, uh, again, it provides test items in a very fast manner. So it really helps us to save time. Because of time limit, I'm going to skip them. Yeah, and for relative clause, my prompt is like this. I'm exploring ambiguous relative clause where subject-verb agreement, singular, plural, disambiguates the ambiguity. I would like to request 10 sentences syntactically resembling I like the servants of the actress who are tall, where both nouns in the complex genitive noun phrase refer to animate entities and consist of just one word. So as I said, giving example is very important. So when I click it, so it does good job in creating items tailored to this particular linguistic phenomenon. So the point is we can save a lot of time when we create test items because we can choose them. We can choose them and create them on our own. And garden path sentence, same, very effective. And going back to our slide, and it also understands factorial design. It's a type of research design where, as you might know, every level of each factor is intertwined with other factors. So this highlights all possible combinations of the levels and make it easy for experimental linguists to conduct all compassing analysis. So when you have factorial design table, you can use ChatGPT to generate test items. So something like this. So prompt would be, I have developed a factorial design that centers around two crucial factors, animosity type, high or low relative clause attachment. I need an additional 5 table. the lexical items within each table should remain identical, as shown in the example. The nouns in the complex generative nouns within the animate column should both be animate, while the nouns in the inanimate column should both be inanimate. And I copy the table. Then it does great job. Yeah, I'm not gonna demonstrate for this because of the time. So ChatGPT 3.5, it tries to create intended test items, but occasionally it fails to capture the logic between the factorial design. GPT-4, it mostly fulfilled the table's requirement. It not only succeeded in creating intended items, but also displays the items inside the matching table. And GPT-LingX does the same thing. And we can also create images with GPT. For example, if I say I'm conducting a linguistic experiment and would like to see an image of a dog chasing a cat, could you create this with a distinct style? Then it can create images for us. So if we are using picture for our experiment, we can rely on it. Both GPT-4 and DALL-E, which is custom GPT created by OpenAI, are capable of creating targeted images, though they may not always align perfectly with the envisioned concept, so achieving about 50% success rate. However, their ability to modify existing images is notably useful. But consistency in output can be challenging, making this method less suitable for tasks that require consistent character or depiction. However, if variations between images are acceptable, this approach can be effectively used. So I'm gonna prove it, showing you in the GPT box. So I'm using GPT-4. Just 1 second. Oh. So this is the prompt. I'm conducting a linguistic experiment and would like to see an image of a dog chasing a cat. Could you create this with a distinct style? Yeah, normally it takes longer time to create image than to produce text. So let's wait about 15 seconds more. And its ability to create images is improving. So something like this. So I think this can be used for test if that it doesn't have particular requirement. And what we can do is, if we don't like some part of this image, we can modify it using this feature. For example, if we don't like this tail, we can remove this tail. So please remove the tail. But it doesn't work every time. But at least it gives us an option to modify images that we created. So let's see if it works or not. And I believe that there are ways to create consistent images, like styles, as long as our prompts are detailed enough. There are many teachings about that. So it still has a tail, but it became smaller. So it's not 100% perfect, I mean accurate, but we at least we have an option to modify it. That's what I wanted to show you. So we can definitely use it. And another feature is audio file creation. So now we can create audio file with it. AI voice generator, which is custom GPT, it creates audio file when you provide text to it. Although it may struggle with excessively long files, at least you have an option. So I'm going to show you how it works. So this is the custom GPT. Okay, let's ask it to provide us with this item, the items we created for relative clause attachment. Please create an audio file that reads these sentences. So I don't know whether it can be used for listening test, but for phonological experiment, we might want to use human voice. But depending on experiment, I'm sure there are aspects that we can use this feature. So we can use not only text, but also images and audio files with GPT. So it's taking longer time than the others. Okay, so it created it. I can download it right away. So I can play it. Okay. It doesn't play. I believe that's because of I'm playing Zoom, but its quality is pretty good. It's very human-like. Right? You can try it later when you have time. So now we can create audio file with GPT, and we can use ChatGPT to create recruitment posts as well when we need to do that. Actually, this is pretty obvious. It creates text for us, so we can use it for that. So the example prompt is, how can I optimize this recruitment post to attract a larger number of participants? Yeah. Both GPT 3.5, 4 do great job. And with GPT Canva, another custom GPT, we can get help about designing the recruitment post. So how it works is, so this is the last demonstration. So please bear with me. So if we go to Canva, I'm trying to create a recruitment post for linguistics experiment. Please provide me with a design. Then it provides us with design using Canva, a platform for designing. Okay, so it's starting to giving us design. So it gives us two options. So the first option looked like this. Second option looked like this. So the second option is a little weird, but a lot of times it provides us with good design. So when we click it, we are led to Canva right away. And from Canva, we can start modifying, changing the text here. So this is very useful way to save time when we are designing a recruitment post. Okay. And there are other functions, like for coding, GPT is very useful, considering that coding is a language, and we know that oftentimes human languages are more complicated than programming languages. Imagine how proficient GPT would be at programming languages. Of course, it makes mistakes. However, it does a good job in helping us with coding, like R programming and many others. And we can use ChatGPT to evaluate answers written on paper because it can read images and even the text in images. However, it's important to perform a final check because of potential mistakes. About 90% correct, but not all the time. And it really helps us to save time. And we can minimize manual work as well. And there are diagram GPTs that can help us to create diagram. So there are a lot of features that you can use when you do research. But there are some things that we have to remember. Its usefulness depends on the purpose of the research, and it has limitations, the risk of generating outdated, incorrect, or unreliable information. And we also always have to adhere to established guidelines for the utilization of ChatGPT in research endeavor. And I think guidelines are still being established. So I think we need to keep track of that. Yeah, that's all. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hyun. That was really super interesting. I have a little experience like this much using ChatGPT. Mostly for I teach about it. I teach intro to composition and I do a bunch of material on it. So I know like this much about it from doing that, but I've never thought about like actually using it in my research.
Mhm.
The only follow-up question like I was really thinking about, and I'm sorry if you said this and I missed it somehow, but I was just curious like if you have ever used it for anything that you've like published or presented, if you like cite it, or like if so, like how do you cite it? I was really curious about that.
Oh, yeah. Whenever you use GPT, you say, so the publishers, they ask you to tell them how you used it. Of course, I think it's okay not to report it when you use it to minimize your manual work. I think that's not necessary. But if you used it for a major part of your research, then yeah, you might want to use it like using audio file generated by AI, something like that. Uh, I think there are research that doesn't allow such voice, AI voice, but there are other types of research that allow that. So it really depends on the purpose of research. Yeah, but most major publishers require you to report such major contribution by AI.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Kendall.
Okay, thanks. This was a great talk. Thank you so much. Very, very interesting. I was wondering, we didn't talk a lot, but you briefly mentioned it could assist in analysis of data. Do you know of some specific ways to use ChatGPT in data analysis?
Yeah. So as you might know, the more specific our prompts are, the better GPT understands. And GPT is very good at statistics, and it understands, it's capable of understanding linguistic research, its logics, as long as you explain it well. So what I did in the past that I found was very useful was I tell the research purpose, the target participants. So I provide all the logics in my research and provide them with some how I should approach it when I analyze. Then it provides you with some well established ways to analyze it. Of course, we have to examine it first as a researcher, but it gives you some ideas if you're not familiar with the area. And in terms of coding, when you make mistakes in your coding, you just copy it and get help from GPT. Then it's very good at troubleshooting. It understands the logic behind the code, so it corrects you, which saves your time. Yeah. And one of the examples is you created a graph, but you want it to look fancier. Then you ask it to make it fancier, then it does a great job. And it can change some details as well.
Okay, that's really cool. Do you know if it has been integrated with Pratt at all? Like Pratt for the sound speech analysis, acoustical analysis?
So you're asking whether it can do that?
Can it do anything, regarding Pratt? Do you know?
I haven't tried it, but I'm sure it knows how to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I can't guarantee. So I recommend you to try.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
cool. Thank you so much. Very interesting.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other folks have any questions, feel free to shout them out or put them in the chat.
I have a question. First of all, thank you for the presentation. Yes, I think there were a lot of great ideas how we can use that. I have a question about creating references list. In my experience, sometimes this list would include references that don't exist. And I don't know if that was the case just because like I used the free version of ChatGPT. But what is your experience with that? Like, how accurate is it? And I noticed also that in your prompt, you said genuine references. Maybe that was the key with my like mistake when I used the prompt. And that's why it gave me some references that do not exist.
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I tried a lot and tested whether it works in that way or not. It depends on the version. So with GPT 3.5, even when you include genuine, it gives you a lot of non-existent resources. But GPT-4 is better with it. Most of its sources are real, but sometimes not relevant. But after update, now a lot of GPT can access internet. When it can access internet, it means it only provides you with genuine resources. And the one that I introduced you with, GPT Coursera. Coursera is a separate platform that helps you with researching, and all its sources are genuine, and it's better than like Google Scholar. So since this GPT is directly connected to this platform, all it provides you with is genuine, I would say.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that is. GPT generates reference that doesn't exist, because its ability, so it not only can extract information, but it also can create information. So that's why, because of its another ability, that's why it creates something. Yeah, and we have to examine how relevant the recommended sources are. So that's our job. Some are not that related.
Very nice. Thank you, everybody, for your questions. If no other folks have any questions, I can go ahead and stop the recording. Can get wrapped up. Oh, Han put another question in the chat.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue with creating image is creating consistent image, the style. I realize it a lot of times makes mistake in that. It creates a lot of images with diverse style. So to control that, we might need some particular prompts. A copyright, I haven't tried to use images created by GPT in my paper, so I'm not sure about it, but I'm sure you have to indicate that in the paper. Yeah, in other languages, I would say I tried with many different languages. English is pretty good. Spanish also good, but not other languages, because yeah, its fluency in languages are dependent on how much training data they have, and its training data with other languages are not as abundant as English or Spanish. So yeah, I would say English and Spanish would be reliable, but not other languages. Yeah, but still good. Yes, Russian, not bad. Yeah. Yeah, and GPT also can, has speaker version. So if you want to communicate with it verbally, you can do that too. And that really helps you with language acquisition as well. So if you're interested in that, yeah, that's its feature.
Any other questions from folks? I never know how to interpret the Zoom silence. Like, oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I will stop the recording then. Remember